Unfortunately, Google Ads will only ever get more expensive, not cheaper, which makes it much more difficult to become profitable. I find myself often getting questions that are super tactical and micro, things like what's the best bidding strategy? How do you optimize quality score? Things that matter, but aren't necessarily the most important thing depending on where that account is. And they're kind of losing sight of the bigger picture in terms of what are the levers that I should be thinking about to not only improve the health of my Google Ads, but improve the health of my business, right? In terms of making things more profitable so I can sustain a higher cost per click, improve conversion rates, and ultimately win against the competition. If you're new to this video, I'm Silvio Perez. I'm the founder of AdConversion. We teach 8,000 plus B2B marketers how to master ads, and we manage over $3 million a month in ad spend for top B2B SaaS brands. In this video, I'm going to share with you how to think about profitability, how to optimize for it in Google Ads, and understand as a strategist the perspective you should be having so you can go from the 10,000 foot view of the macro to the absolute micro of bidding strategies, quality score optimization, localization, and all these other things that we're going to touch on. Let's kick off with the 3 levers. So these are your strategic pillars. You can think of them as your foundational places. So you can start from this and then you can drill in or go back up depending on where you need to be. And it's really helpful to think in terms of these 3 pillars or these 3 levers because it'll really allow you to have that macro view and not lose sight of it when you drill into the weeds of, the day-to-day things in Google Ads. So the 3 pillars are traffic, conversion, and product. So these are the 3 things that you should really be obsessing about, thinking about as a business at all given times. So for instance, for traffic, can we buy more high quality traffic at a discount, or can we buy higher quality traffic that will convert at a higher rate, that will offset the increased cost of said traffic? Or can we improve conversions and optimize our conversion experience so that despite rising costs, we offset those costs because our conversion rates are increasing? Or finally, from a product perspective, can we make our product more attractive? Can we improve time to value? Can we improve ACV? Can we improve average revenue per user? Can we optimize the product itself so that we can afford to pay for more traffic, essentially? So these are the 3 pillars that as a advertiser, it's very helpful to have in your mind. So when you are in the micro of the day-to-day of running a Google Ad account, you have this in the back of your head so that you understand, am I fighting a winnable fight here, right? Because what I really hope you walk away from this video is that you can catch yourself when you're focused too micro on things that, don't forget about ROI, like return on effort. Like it just doesn't really make sense, or it's not going to be the thing that really changes the game for your business, right? Like it's like you have 80% optimal efficiency in your Google Ad account structure, and you're still obsessing over getting from 80 to 85%, where, like your free trial onboarding sucks, right? If you're SaaS and you're converting at like a rate of like 1%. Let's optimize that. You would improve everything else, right? Or maybe your conversions on your landing pages are really bad, right? So this is really helpful to just make sure you don't fall into that trap. Let's go ahead and kick off with the first lever here, which is traffic. So let's go ahead and break that down. So within traffic, I want to kind of just break down like where my mind goes, what I found to be helpful, and like what to think about. So essentially with traffic, the goal here is you want the best traffic for the lowest cost. Unfortunately, if you look at your average cost per click in your Google Ad account, you compare it a year from now, 2 years from now, like that it only ever goes up and to the right, unfortunately. It's only gonna get more expensive, right? So with that frame and reality in mind, there's a few things. So the first thing we want to do on the traffic side is we want to make sure that we are actually paying for the right kind of searches. So what you want to do is you want to do a search term audit. And the search term audit is basically you're going to go look at your actual search term report. These are the things that you're actually paying for. People think you're bidding on a keyword and then you just show up for things that speak about that keyword, and it couldn't be further from the truth. In practice, I could bid on the keyword CRM platform, but then I could show up for like, I don't know, what is a CRM, or like something even more outlandish like that. So basically what you want to do is you want to audit your search terms. You want to build your negative keyword list up, and you want to make sure that 80% of the time you are actually showing up for things that make sense for your business. It sounds so basic, but you would be shocked at the amount of people that miss this. Again, you bid on keywords, but you pay for search terms. So make sure that the search terms you show up for actually make sense. This is how you quality check your traffic. Notice how I'm not even talking about quality score as a metric or any of that, because that's an optimization of cost, which we'll talk about. You just want to make sure you're showing up for the right things, because if you're not showing up for the right things, everything else kind of doesn't matter. So after you've done a search term audit, the next thing I want you to think about is, how can I improve my media cost, or how can I optimize media costs? And I kind of want to break this down for you. So when it comes to media costs, there's a few things that come to my mind. Number one is match types. So your match types are also a factor of improving quality. So there's exact match, phrase match, and broad match. And essentially what you can do is you can loosen the match type to drive a lower cost per click. So Google, what we're finding in our accounts is like Google is penalizing us for going stricter, like more specific. I'm not saying don't use exact or phrase match. You should absolutely use it. But what we're noticing in terms of a cost per click perspective is we're paying much more expensive cost per clicks for exact match than phrase. And then following broad, we usually get massive discounts. So playing with match types can improve your media costs. So for instance, if I go broad, maybe I pay $6 a click, versus if I go exact match, maybe I'm paying $16 a click. This is something that you can think about in terms of like a micro lever within media costs to pull on to try to optimize that. The second one is bidding. So bidding strategies. So this is all about like the types of bidding strategies you're using. So if we're using max conversions, target CPA, manual CPC, these are all different types of bidding strategies you can use. So for instance, when it comes to bidding strategies, what we have found right now, this could change, but just to give you guys a little direction, is we're finding target CPA works really well when it optimizes towards a single conversion event. And then we also find manual CPC could actually work pretty well in some instances, especially with like brand campaigns. So basically what you could do is you can try to optimize your bidding to also optimize the media cost. So for instance, if we're using target CPA, we're being a bit more specific where we're saying, Google, we don't want to pay, anything for a conversion. We only want to buy conversions around this cost. Or if we use manual CPC, this could be really powerful because sometimes Google will artificially inflate your bids, especially if you don't have a lot of conversion history. So by starting manual, you will force Google to enter the auction at that amount, and it can drive a lower cost per click. And if it actually converts for you, it could actually make more sense for the business. So when you think about levers like this, and I'm going really in the weeds here, you can almost see it as like a tree, and then you're looking at the roots of the tree, and then you as the strategist, you're pulling on and pulling out the weeds that don't make sense in terms of like how it supports the overall infrastructure of the tree. So when I'm thinking about traffic and I'm thinking about how can I get the best traffic possible at the lowest cost for Google Ads, this is like where my brain is going. Are we showing for the right search terms? Are we using the right bidding strategies that support our goals? Are our match types, do they make sense, right? In relation to our search terms and in relation to like our economics as a business, how much can we afford in terms of cost per click, right? What is our conversion rates? Have we done that math to understand our economics, right? What is our break-even cost per lead? This is kind of where my mind is going. The next one too that you can pull on for optimizing media costs is localization. So localization is where now you are bidding on the same keyword, but you're doing it in a different country or you're doing it in a different language. This is also a great way to just drive a lower cost per click. So for instance, if it costs me, $30 a click in the United States, maybe that keyword costs $25 a click in Canada. Maybe it costs $5 a click in Spanish, right? This is another way you can optimize cost. Okay, and lastly, we have quality score. So quality score is how relevant are your keywords, your ads, and your landing pages in relation to the query that the user searched. And quality score is a lever that you can pull to optimize media cost, because the way ad rank is calculated, ad rank is the score that determines if your ad is on the top of the page or nowhere to be found. The way it works is it's looking at your max bid times your quality score times the expected impact of ad extensions. So essentially what that means in simple language is the higher your quality score is and the better your bidding strategy is, the more competitive you're being on your bidding strategy, the higher your ad rank will be, the more often you will show up on the top of the page. So quality score is something you can pull on to try to optimize media cost, because the higher the quality score, the less competitive your bid must be. So when it comes to quality score, and this could be a whole separate video, there are three components that make up your quality score. You have ad relevance, you have landing page experience, and then you have expected click-through rate. And each one of these things you can optimize for to try to improve the overall score of your quality score. So for me as the Google Ads advertiser, I could do a quality score audit and I could see what is the average quality score of my account. And then I can understand, okay, is there something I can pull on here, right? Can I optimize my ad relevance and improve my structure of my account? Can I optimize my landing page experience? Can I improve my expected click-through rate, et cetera, et cetera? So again, these are all like sub levers within the lever of optimizing media costs that you as the strategist and the advertiser can think about to improve the overall health of your account. So when it comes to traffic, in summary, we are trying to drive the highest quality clicks at the lowest cost possible so we can feed all that traffic into our funnel to then move on to the next lever, which is all about conversion. Okay, now that we've talked endlessly about traffic, I hope your brain is firing with ideas, and I hope you're loving this video. If you are, help me out by hitting that thumbs up button down below. Now let's talk about conversion. How can we optimize conversion? So you're driving all of this great traffic at the lowest cost possible, but it's not converting. What do, right? I think where I see this happen more times than not, especially in B2B SaaS, is we're over obsessed about traffic. I think for the most part, people do an okay job with traffic, but then they completely fail when it comes to conversion and actual, the product itself. So when it comes to conversion, there's a few things here. Number one, which is no shocker to anyone, it's your landing pages. I think it is criminal how few attention, effort, energy goes to landing pages and how much goes towards traffic. It's like so backwards. Like people spend 90% of their attention on the traffic and they spend 10% of their attention on the actual conversion aspect around the landing pages. So when it comes to your landing pages, there are a few things to really think about. And number one, I would say, is start off by really focusing on the hero section of your landing page. So the hero section of your landing page is what they see before they scroll. And there's a great test in the conversion rate optimization world called the 5-second test. And the 5-second test basically is, if I land on your hero section in 5 seconds, can I understand what you do, why it matters, who do you help, and how I can take the next step? And if the answer is no, then there's opportunity to be had in terms of improving your hero section. I'll give you a quick story. We had a consulting client where they're massive. They spend like $300K a month in Google Ads. And for the longest time, they were over obsessing on quality score, bidding strategies, campaign structures, keyword expansion. They were doing everything they could to drive more traffic. And when I looked at their landing page conversion rate, it was like 0.03%, which is awful. And I was like, guys, how about we just pause a bit on like this over obsession on traffic and, buying all the traffic we can and finding new keyword opportunities. And instead we improve our hero section. This is what your hero section looks like today. Let's just make these few tweaks, right? And let's see how it goes. Fast forward a few days, because the benefit of having such a large account is you can acquire data so fast. Their conversion rate on their hero section went from 0.3% or give or take to like 1.8%, which is still not great, but it's way better than it was before. And all we did was we optimized the hero section. So the way I think about it is like, for every dollar you spend on ads, spend $2 on your landing pages, because they're that important. This is everything in terms of making you more profitable. So if you take one thing from this video, it's go give your landing pages some love, because that's the bottleneck and the opportunity that's probably going to help you get to the next level. So for here in the hero section, what we really want to do is we want to make sure we have a strong headline that speaks to a specific problem. We want to make sure that we are really optimizing every single pixel above the fold. Like, it needs to add value. If it doesn't add value, you kill it. There could be a whole separate video on landing pages, so I'm not going to go too into the weeds here, but really optimize your landing pages. The other one too that I would say really gives a lot of big wins is your form. How does your form look? How many fields are you asking people for? Is it possible to make it multi-step and break it down and make it a bit more digestible? And then the last one here, when it comes to the landing page, is your offer. At the end of the day, if people don't care about what you have to say or what you have to give or offer, you're kind of like SOL. So what we find a lot of times is, especially SaaS companies, because that's what we operate in, it's like they're underselling the value of their demo. It's like they're just saying like request a demo. But when you actually watch a sales call recording, you realize like that was actually super valuable. It wasn't just a demo. It was like this diagnostic analysis, and like you broke down all of these different things and you unblocked these problems, but they like undersell themselves because they call it a demo. So for you, think about your hero page, think about your form, think about your offer. These are the things that you can really pull on to really optimize the conversion side, so that that traffic that you're paying for, especially when it's expensive, can really move the needle for you. Just wanted to take a quick second and say, if you're loving this video, you will absolutely love our free courses over at AdConversion.com. They are seriously free. We've got courses on Google Ads, Reddit ads, LinkedIn ads, and more. Seriously free. You can check them all out at AdConversion.com. And if you don't believe us, you can check out our wall of love. For us, like our mission and vision is like, we want to build the go-to place in the world to learn how to run B2B ads. I started AdConversion because there was nothing like this. And I spent so much money on unqualified people and just getting ripped off by people who are not actually doing the work. So here at AdConversion.com, you can access our courses for free. And you can check out our wall of love if you don't believe us. And if you're loving this video, you will absolutely love us at AdConversion.com. So take it out. Okay, let's talk about the final pillar that you can pull on in terms of improving your profitability of your Google Ads, which is your product. And when it comes to your product, there are a multitude of things, and depending on the type of business you are, it'll look a little bit different. So I'm going to try to speak to the different kinds of models out there. So you have sales-led businesses that have some sort of sales-led motion, right? This is usually in the form of a meeting being booked, some sort of diagnostic with the salesperson, and then it moves on to later stages. For product-led people, it's usually free trial, then they activate in-app, and then they become a paid user. So I'll kind of speak to both, but basically you want to optimize your motion. So when it comes to optimizing your motion, there are a few things that come to my mind. Number one is your onboarding experience. So this is for PLG. So how fast are you making it for free trial users to actually receive value, like nailing that time to value? And we launched our SaaS 80 days ago, give or take, depending on when you're watching this. And it's an ad automation platform. It helps you optimize your ads 24 hours a day by building workflows for LinkedIn ads, Google ads, Meta ads, and YouTube ads. And even ourselves, like we're early stage and we're really still in the process of trying to figure out our onboarding experience, making it better, creating multiple free trial accounts, and just going through it as like a new user. I have like 30 emails, kid you not, from just like trying to go through my app again and again and again, and like trying to understand how I can improve the onboarding experience. So for you, really doing that due diligence and trying to see how can I remove and eliminate as many steps as I can so that the onboarding experience is smoother and that the time to value is better. This is not necessarily like our purview as a Google advertiser, right? Because we're just focusing on the traffic and the conversion piece, but this is hurting you whether you choose to acknowledge it or not. And being a, strategist, you need to be able to see the entire process, not just a small piece that you look at and then, you don't connect it to the business. So if you are the Google advertiser, if you're watching this, I'm assuming you are, take a look at your onboarding experience and see, are there opportunities to improve the onboarding experience? Even if it's not your responsibility, it's still going to impact your results. So for instance, maybe for my onboarding experience, so for us and Sammy, what we've done is we've created something called SAM templates. And SAM templates are basically like templates of automation. So we have different things you could do. So for example, one of them is around ad fatigue. So if you want to get notified of ad fatigue in real time, or if you want to ad schedule on LinkedIn, or if you want to pause ads that have never performed and they're burning cash, or if you want to scale top performing campaigns in your budgets, we have different templates that we've created to like simplify building these workflows out, because if we didn't have them, getting started with Sammy would be 10 times harder. So look at your onboarding experience if you're product led and see if there's opportunities to improve that process and make it faster to receive time to value. The second one that comes to my mind in terms of optimizing your product is increasing your RPU, which is your annual revenue per user or average revenue per user, or your ACV, your average contract value if you're sales led, or your ADS. There's so many acronyms, average deal size. But basically you're trying to make more money per person that comes in contact with your business. This means you need to optimize your pricing. Oof, that's scary, I know. But you need to test pricing. And this is something that should always be like evergreen, ongoing, that you should be optimizing with, because this is a lever. So for instance, like For us with Sammy, it costs $99 a month on a monthly basis if you're on our yearly plan. And then it's like $119 a month right now if you're on our monthly plan. And in the future, we should test pricing. So we should see, can we increase it? Does it make sense to go from 119 to 130 or 130 to 150, right? We should play with that. And it doesn't seem like a big increase, but it's massive in terms of the downstream impacts and your ability to offset cost. The other one in terms of actually improving profitability is not just increasing your revenue per user or customer, it's retaining them. So reducing churn is massive. Every time you cut churn in half, you just doubled your business, which is quite remarkable. So how many of the users you acquire are you actually keeping? And looking at churn by traffic source is really powerful. So what is your average churn from your Google Ads customers that you drive versus other sources? Because the churn rates will be different. So looking at churn and optimizing churn is massive, because essentially by retaining and reducing churn, what you're really doing is you're improving your lifetime value, right? So if somebody pays me 99 bucks a month and they stay with me for 3 months, I make $300. But if they stay with me for a year, I just made $1,200, right? That's massive. 1,200 versus 300. Do the math, work backwards. I can afford paying $35 a click now, right? As an example. So increasing your lifetime value will improve your ability to actually get somebody to pay for a more higher cost per click and be able to offset the cost of traffic. This is actually what all the big guys are doing, right? So like all of the big businesses that you see paying these ridiculous amounts of money for this expensive traffic, paying $80, $90, $100 a click. The reason why they can do this and not go out of business is because they have a massive backend. They've built this incredible backend where they can really squeeze and maximize the lifetime value of every single customer that comes their way. And I think in e-commerce, more than most industries, they run into this problem because you're selling a product for 20 bucks, 10 bucks, 15 bucks, and then your cost per click is $6. Like, you don't have a lot of margin, you don't have a lot of flexibility. So whatever you can do to try to increase the average revenue per user or customer will be really beneficial. So for us, we play in the SaaS world in B2B, but I know in e-commerce, this is where like bundling is really helpful. You can bundle products together. You can add bonuses, things like this, so that you can try to increase the average revenue per user, or you can get them on a subscription versus a one-time sale. All of these things go towards improving your lifetime value. And notice how like none of this has to do with your Google Ads, but this stuff will hurt you. Again, it's not your responsibility, but if you can understand this stuff and you can communicate these things to your clients, to your stakeholders, if you're working in-house, it's going to make you a much more effective strategist. And ultimately, we're all on the same team and we want to make profitability possible. I hope this video is valuable. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up. Really helps us grow our reach as a small channel, and subscribe so you can be notified of future videos. When you're ready, check us out at AdConversion.com and join our community of 8,000 plus B2B marketers and master ads with our free courses. I'll see you in the next one.